Greetings guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. Recently, I was on Twitter, as I always am, because I spend hours a day on Twitter every single day. And this video kind of went viral, where this guy was talking to this girl in the bar, and he basically says, like, this is how you talk to a female. You have to go up and you see her body language, and she's totally feeling it. And this girl responded and was like, hey, this is me. I thought you were really fucking weird. And that blew up. It turned out that wasn't actually her. And the girl who it actually was made another tweet about it, which I will show you in a moment. Unfortunately, when I went to screen record this and screenshot the tweet, it was deleted and it doesn't seem to be re-uploaded anywhere. Usually when videos like this go viral, they're like re-uploaded on TikTok, but no one actually re-uploaded it, which is annoying. So unfortunately, I can't show you the video. But basically, yeah, that's really all there is to it. And he said something like rather misogynistic in the caption. And it's quite funny. And the reason everyone found it so funny is that the girl in it was like owning the conversation. She seemed very confident. He seemed very awkward and shy. And she also like seemed like she didn't want to be in the conversation and was only in the conversation because it was polite. And that's what we do, you know, as women. We're always just entertaining men all the time. As I said, after this went viral, he deleted the tweet. And he claimed it was because, you know, it was blowing up and she was getting hate and it was hurting her and people shouldn't go after her. Despite it, you know, actually being that people were coming for him and he didn't appreciate the negative attention. Like, he made a tweet being like, hey, she's all good, don't attack her, it's totally fine. But like, that was after this whole conversation that happened where she said, hey Chase, this is me. It was so nice to meet you Thursday at Cowboys. So happy and unaware that our meeting was recorded. Weird that you forgot to include the part where my friends came and saved me from you after you made several misogynistic comments. And then he said something which was also deleted, and I didn't even get to see this for the first time. Like, I never saw this response. But she replied, not how I remembered it, let's clear things up. 1, I don't have a boyfriend. 2, this is where you were making degrading comments to my friend. 3, when he shook your hand and asked for your name, you said, follow me on Twitter. 4, I was walking away and you waved me back over to you and I left. And he just said, go to bed. So then another man stepped in and said, funny how you say he was doing all this stuff wrong, yet the video clearly shows her being into him. I'll go with the evidence that we can actually see instead of misguided suggestions. And another woman replied, my initial reaction was that I thought she looked quite uncomfortable but unsure how to extract herself from the conversation without being rude. But there you go, insecure men will always find a way to spin the narrative. And like, yeah, basically in the video, it was very much like your normal interaction that you see by these like pickup artists where they're like talking and thinking that they're owning the conversation, where the woman is literally only interacting because, you know, fear of safety and all that sort of stuff. But they take it away and like, see, she was engaged, she was into this conversation. It's like, no, she actually wasn't. So that's what happened. And obviously because of that, I thought it would be a great idea to take it upon myself and go to his TikTok and look at some of his videos. And I don't know why I always do this to myself. I always regret it because, oh my God, I've honestly not ever seen someone this, like, you'll see, but I like don't think I've ever seen anyone as hypocritical as him, as like wavering on his beliefs as him, as uncertain as him. I don't think I've ever seen anyone this uncertain and this just like brain empty words coming out of your mouth as he is. But before we get into that part of the video, I would like to say a massive thank you to today's patron of the day, Maria. Thank you so much for all of your support. I appreciate it greatly. And if anyone else would like to become a patron, you can go to patreon.com/savvycat. Starts at as little as £1 a month, and I appreciate it greatly. Thank you, Maria, and I hope that you enjoy this video. Let's get into his really fun TikToks that are so fun.
Men need to understand there's no such thing as finding the perfect girl. Women mirror the men they are with. They start behaving and thinking in all the ways you do once they see you as someone worthy of leading their mind. You see, women are like children. They just want to enjoy reality and be in the present moment and not have the responsibility of dealing with these things that can really put the mind into such a stressful state. See, women are delicate, and the way they can stay feminine is by not having to deal with these these grimy aspects of life that have to be done that should just be done by men. The things no one wants to fucking do, or the aspects of reality that people don't want to have to look at. Like, think of police officers or firefighters. They are the ones that are first on the scene to things that will scar you for life, that if you see people who have died in car crash, kids, all that sort of stuff. You need men who can go and do that, because if women are going and doing that, it is staining their soul and it ruins the rest of society, because it makes mothers who are traumatized and they pass that trauma onto their children, and then that trauma spreads throughout society, and that's what we're seeing right now. Women have been exposed to too much trauma. Yes, I know women want to be strong and powerful, but they can be strong and powerful in the way they nurture humanity, because humanity goes mad when there's no feminine essence or purity to it, no motherly loving energy. Men have to go through all the traumas and dark truths of life, but women need to be the ones to heal men, to keep them grounded.
This is just red flag after red flag after red flag, and it is just him babbling. He is letting words come out of his mouth without having any idea what he's actually saying. It's so wild to listen to, because like I can't follow. I find it really difficult to follow what he's saying, because like you're just saying shit, bro. But like, let's try go through this, right? Starting off on a really strong note of saying women don't have their own like personality, women don't have their own beliefs, they just kind of do whatever the men in their lives do. Oh my god, that is the biggest red flag. I'm glad you started this video immediately by calling yourself out and being like the worst person. Women most definitely are their own people. We are our own people with our own beliefs and our own thoughts. And like, yes, we're influenced by people around us, but so is literally everyone. We're all influenced by people around us because we're constantly learning new information. And I am open to learning more information about things all the time. Like, yes, the people around me will influence me, but I also have a personality disorder where that is literally one of the symptoms. I have BPD. The people around me do influence my personality, but that's not a woman thing. That's a I am mentally ill thing. Regardless of that, I hold very strong beliefs, and those aren't wavering based on the people I'm around. I just cut people out of my life that I don't agree with. If you were a conservative man in my life, you're just not in my life anymore. You're not gonna like affect my beliefs and who I am as a person. You're just not in my life anymore. And that's how it's gonna go. And then saying that women are like children? Bro, what? That's such a screaming red flag, because you're saying women are children while simultaneously saying that you want to date a woman, while also saying that you want to date a woman because their like personality will change and adapt to whatever you want it to be. Like that is the most screaming red flag. It's very much giving you want to date a child because they're easy to manipulate, which is a big yikes. Holy shit, that's quite terrifying, and I really hope that no one has the misfortune of being in a relationship with you. Oh my god. Being like they're like children because we enjoy life and we want to be happy and not do like hard work. That is just everyone. Children are just the only people who are allowed to do that. They're the only people who have the freedom to do that. But you want to sit here and tell me that men don't want to be happy and don't want to like live life without having to like work themselves to death? I'm gonna call you out on that. You absolutely do want that, and you prove that by immediately saying men should do all the work that no one wants to do. So by that logic, men also don't want to do it. You just think that they have to and women shouldn't, because otherwise women will traumatize their children, as though men don't also experience trauma which they pass on to their children. Like, men should be involved in their children's lives just as much as women should be, and so therefore it should like, they're equally likely to traumatize their children. And I think that going to a scene of a car crash and like a fire is going to traumatize anyone. It doesn't matter your gender, and it's wild that you think that only men are able to cope with that, and only men should have to cope with that, because no one should have to. Everyone who is in those jobs and positions should have therapy, absolutely. And I think it affects every person differently. It doesn't matter what your gender is. It just affects different people differently. And we need to get past this whole, like, it affects men. No, it just affects people differently. Okay? People.
You will become successful when you stop chasing happiness. High performers are never happy because they have this mental limitation that does not let them ever give themselves credit. Whenever they reach a goal, they see the new one automatically. They never stop to smell the roses. They could conquer the world and it would never feel like enough. There's always something that they want to achieve above it. People who aren't successful in life aren't used to winning. They win once and they feel like they won the Super Bowl or the championship of the world. And then they go right back to the lives they were living. It's like all they needed was that one win to get a little burst of self-confidence. And it's the most self-confidence they've felt in a very long time. So it was enough for them. And they don't need any more. But the people at the top, they constantly need that dopamine and that reassurance that they are who they think they are, because they are their biggest critics. The people at the top really even stop thinking about happiness versus depression. They're not even contemplating what they feel. They don't really care. They just care that they're moving forward. And moving forward doesn't mean being happy all the time, because real progress comes from struggle. And you can't be happy when you're struggling, because it's struggle. You have to push yourself. When you're lifting weights, it's painful mentally and physically. It's the same thing when it comes to making money, gaining confidence, or getting girls. You have to put yourself into a state of confusion and uncomfort. If you're constantly seeking to feel happiness and be comfortable, you're never going to progress in life, because progression doesn't come from being comfy.
This is such a sad way to live your life. This is such a sad way to live your life, and it's such a sad way to view success. And this is such like capitalist brainwashing here, to be like, you'll never be happy. You'll never be happy. You have to keep working. You'll never be happy. You should never be happy. If you're happy, you shouldn't be, because you aren't satisfied. You need to be able to push the limit. You need to be able to be a billionaire. And even then you won't be happy, because if you're happy, you aren't successful enough. If you can never reach the top, that is a miserable life. What is the point of having everything if you are never going to be happy with it? What is the point in never having enough? That is so awful and so sad. I think that the one thing in life we should all aim for is happiness, is contentment. We should all be in a state in our lives where we feel content and stable. I think stability is what we should be chasing. And unfortunately, stability is really hard to come by in our current climate. But like, if you're able to have stability and then have money on top of stability in order to live comfortably, in order to pursue hobbies and, you know, take time for yourself and travel and do things you want to do, that I believe is like the ultimate place to be at in your life. We are always told that we can have more, that we should have more. There are always luxuries held above our head. No matter where you are, you can always have more. But I don't think we should be desiring more stuff. The best place to be is a place where you're able to live comfortably, where you know that you are going to have a roof over your head, you're able to pursue hobbies, you're able to take time for yourself, and you're able to enjoy things. That is the best place to be. You do not constantly need more. And unfortunately, a lot of people aren't able to reach that stage of contentment and aren't able to reach that stage of happiness because of how bad our current living situation is, with how expensive everything is. People have to keep working and they don't even get to go higher in the ladder. They're just working themselves to death and they don't even get stuff. They can barely afford to like be alive and they're still working themselves to death. And those people particularly would be so happy to just be able to live comfortably. And that is what we should be aiming for. It shouldn't be about having more. It's not ever enough. If it's not ever enough, there's no fucking point, you know? Be happy. Allow yourself to be happy. You don't need more and more and more and more, because you are going to burn yourself out. And if you're going to be miserable for your whole life, constantly wanting more, what is the point in life? I'm sorry. But like, genuinely, there's no point. If all you are doing is feeding into this machine and gaining nothing out of it, what is the point? What is the point? What is the point of life if it's not to be happy and do what you love? Like, what is the point?
The reason men are so attracted to feminine women is because feminine women keep a man's inner child alive. A man's life is filled with so much stress and just pain and struggle, that the only thing that can keep him balanced is a woman that brings out his inner child, that can make him relax and laugh a little bit and make him distracted from the world outside. That's all a man wants in a woman, is to distract him from, the harsh truths of reality and the harsh truths that this man is going to continue to have to go through. Because as a man, your life never truly gets easier, because the more high value you become as a man, the more responsibilities you have, the more people you have to look after, and it becomes incredibly hard mentally to maintain sanity, because you are the one who's responsible for the lives of everyone around you. And society is starting to go mad because men are no longer balanced. A man's life is so stressful, and he doesn't have a feminine woman to come in and keep him balanced in an overly competitive world.
But I thought you just said you aren't allowed to be happy. You want a feminine woman because it makes your life more enjoyable, because life is hard. But also you should never be happy. Which one is it? You want a feminine woman because she balances you and she makes you happy. And she brings out your inner child, while at the same time you're saying you should never be happy and you should never be content, you should always want more. Like, I feel like you can't have both of those things, right? You can't be saying you're never allowed to be happy, you're never allowed to be content, while also saying women are so great because they make you happy. You can't have both. I'm sorry. You can't be happy and miserable. Like, you can be, but that's a bit of an oxymoron there. Either you're allowed to be happy and you need a break, or you should never want a break and you have to be miserable and pushing yourself at all times. And also, like, personally, and I think this goes for a lot of people, I don't particularly have any interest in dating someone who doesn't desire happiness and who will never be happy and who doesn't see any point in being happy and being comfortable, because that sounds like a lot of pressure, not only for them, but for myself as well. Having to balance someone, and that being like your assigned role is to like balance someone else, is like kind of a terrible and stressful job. That's putting way too much on your shoulders. It's not your responsibility to help regulate someone. And like, I value happiness within myself, as I was talking about before, and I also value it in others. I want to be with someone who also values happiness and who also just wants to live life and enjoy things. I don't want to keep chasing more. That is exhausting. Like, that's not a good way to live. That's not fun. It's not healthy. It's just not ideal in any way at all. It is good to have goals, and it is good to have dreams and chase things and do things that you want to do and achieve things that you want to achieve. But you also have to celebrate the small things too. You have to celebrate small achievements and things that happen in between the big goals. And you have to also celebrate happiness and things that you love, because those are things worth celebrating, Small stepping stones are just as important as big milestones, and you have to appreciate those as well, because without those, you can't get the big ones. And it's okay to take rests, and it's okay to stop, and it's okay to get to a point where you are just like, I don't need to keep pushing anymore. I am happy where I am. I don't need any more. It's okay to get to a place where you are comfortable and you have everything that you need and you don't need anything more. You are allowed to stop. You don't have to keep pushing yourself. You are absolutely entitled to just stay there and exist there and enjoy it at any point.
It takes a lot of work for a man to gain value sexually, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and financially. And all this hard work men are doing is being denounced by society because society no longer values masculine qualities.
This is not even a little bit true. Masculinity is still so highly valued in society, and it is still so masculine-centric. Society is still so centered around masculinity, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. Like, when was the last time you saw a woman in a position of power wearing, like, a pink dress? Yeah? When was the last time you saw that? Because I can't really think of any. Like, if you're thinking about successful and powerful women, you always think about a specific type of woman, and you see it in TV shows and in movies. They're always dressed more masculine. They always have more masculine energy, because you have to have more masculine energy in order for you to be taken seriously by men and in a male-dominated environment. The more feminine you are, the more difficulty you are going to have in the workforce and in earning positions of power, specifically in office jobs and such, you know? Like, it's a difficult thing to do because masculine energy is still so valued. And if you believe that masculinity isn't valued, you're out of your mind, because it's even valued by like women in positions of power, because we are so ingrained to believe that masculinity is more successful, more powerful, more useful in our society, which is really upsetting. Big pile of bullshit there, my guy.
The only real thing men want in life is to have a wife that they love and then a bunch of kids. But most men, they go on TikTok or Instagram and they just scroll through degenerate and promiscuous stuff from women. They haven't seen something that gives them hope that there's quality women out there anymore. So they lose all sense of meaning and purpose in life.
I thought you said that all men want is money and success. I'm pretty sure you said that just a moment ago. You were like, you should exist to add money and to be successful. You should always want more and more and more. But now you're telling me that you just want a wife and a bunch of kids? Because I feel like those are kind of contradicting. Like, if you exist purely to keep working yourself to death and working yourself up the ladder and you're never going to be happy, then how is having kids going to be a useful thing? Because you're never going to spend time with them. You're going to be high strung all the time. You're never going to spend time with your kids. You're going to expect way too much from your wife. And you're going to be just like a terrible father and a terrible partner because you don't value happiness. So you don't want your family to believe that happiness is valued either. You're going to have a bunch of kids who resent you. And it just sounds awful, bro. If that's what you desire, then surely you would allow that to make you happy. But if you don't want to ever be happy, how is having kids and a wife going to help you in any way other than you making them miserable? Because you're miserable. I don't even know if you believe what you're saying. I don't even know if you know what you're saying. You're just kind of saying shit. You're just spewing shit that you've heard on the Fresh and Fit podcast without actually internalizing any of it. Like, you seem like you've watched all the Fresh and Fit podcasts, have never actually thought about anything they've said, and then just regurgitated it in a way that doesn't even make sense. And it's just completely contradictory to itself because, bro, you don't know what you're saying. I don't know what you're saying. You are incredibly hard to follow and you don't have like any values. And yet you believe that you are going to have an influence over women and what they believe. You think that your values are going to rub off on women when you don't even have values of your own in the first place because you are being manipulated and easily believe anything you hear on the internet and don't even know what it means. Like, dude, look in a mirror. You think that women are easily, swayed by beliefs in those around them? What are you doing right now? What is your entire thing that you have going on the internet? Because, bro, you have not stuck to a point a single time, and I don't believe you know anything you're saying. Like, I don't think you are aware of the words coming out of your mouth, like even a little bit.
Women are so accustomed to male attention now because of social media that they're addicted to it. The attention and love of one man is no longer enough. She needs it from multiple sources. She needs to know that he wants me, and he wants me, not just him. So now you have all these women shaming men for not being enough. They're like, he's not enough. Well, of course he is, because you're addicted to so much attention. It's dopamine to them. It's a fucking drug. And women are shaming men for all this instead of taking the self-accountability to realize that they fucked up their tolerance to intimacy. That no man is ever enough now because they've been with so many types of men. They don't understand that men aren't perfect and never will be. And that's where love actually comes from, is you start to love unconditionally and you stop looking for a perfect partner. And women are stuck in this delusional fantasy where they think they're gonna find these Prince Charming, well put together men who are a blend of a lover boy and an asshole. A man who's romantic but also an asshole. It's like, those type of men aren't really out there, and these women just want to pretend like they're gonna find these type of guys instead of realizing that they have desensitized themselves to love, to intimacy.
I just love, and I talked about this on Twitter the other day, I love how so many men, like particularly these men and like the Fresh and Fit men, Andrew Tate and all those sort of men, have this like wild, strange belief that every woman has like a really large social media following and are posting provocative pictures online. Like, they come out here like every single girl you meet is gonna have 10,000 followers on Instagram and they're gonna be having like hundreds of dudes in their DMs trying to pick them up every single day. So there's a competition. It's like, no, that's not even a little bit true. Like, there is not even like a hint of truth to that. Most people I know, most women I know, don't even have 1,000 followers, let alone 10,000. And the rarity of having anyone come into their DMs, it's like a very small number of people. Even women that I know who are like models, pursuing careers in modeling or music, because, you know, I went to uni for music, so I have a lot of friends who are pursuing public careers in music. Most of them do not have even 10K followers. And you're out here being like, every girl has so many followers and it's disgusting and they all just are attention whores. Like, shut up. Just because you follow every pretty girl you see and just assume that that's like what every single Instagram page looks like, that sounds like a you problem. And you can't be coming at girls for existing on social media and posting provocative pictures and all having tens of thousands of followers if you are contributing to that. If you want to complain about those girls, then you're not allowed to follow them. But you seem to do that. You seem to be basing this based off of all the girls that you follow, and you're the one following them. So like, if you think it's a problem and you think that they shouldn't have a ton of followers, then stop following them then. Like what? I went to school with, at any given time, my school had 1,600 people in it. And obviously every year, like 200 people left and 200 people came in, more or less, right? That would mean like what? I can't even bother doing maths. Like 3,000 people I went to school with. And of that, I would know and like see about half of them on social media. Could I tell you anyone with over 10,000 followers other than myself? Like maybe a few. Like maybe a few. And the reason I have my followers is because of this, not because of what I post on Instagram, you know? And even if it was, it wouldn't fucking matter. It's such a ridiculous thing and it's such an insane thing to say. And even if it was true, why would it matter? Just don't follow them if you have a problem with it, bro.
Women should know that men are attracted to masculine traits in women, because a too feminine girl is too much of a pushover. She's too accepting of everything. A girl who has a little bit of a masculine quality to her has some strength to her, mentally and emotionally. It's wrong for women to think that all men just want the super smiley feminine girl. That's not true, because mothers are better when they have some masculine qualities, because then they can actually raise sons to be strong-minded. And this is true because the more masculine a woman is, the more she's going to no longer accept weakness from men. And that's what we're seeing throughout all of society. Women have become sick of how feminine men have become, so they have started to become masculine themselves to fill that role within society. When women are too feminine, they are too accepting of weak men. Masculine women keep men at a high standard, because if men start to fall down in quality, then women start to shit on them. They stop sleeping with them, etc. So understand, as a woman, you don't need to be this feminine little prancy ass girl walking around all the time, but to still have some masculine qualities in you, because men actually do desire those.
I thought you just said that men want feminine women. Did you? You all heard him say that, right?
Men are so attracted to feminine women.
Men want feminine women because it brings out their inner child and it makes them happy. And like, women shouldn't be masculine because, you know, femininity should be more valued and yada yada. And now you're out here saying that men want masculine women and women should embrace masculinity and they'll be good mothers if they're masculine, even though just before you said that like women have to be feminine in order to be good mothers and they shouldn't be like traumatized because that's a men's job because they're masculine, whatever. Like, bro, you really, really need to get it together and come up with one thing. Can you have just like one thing that you believe in? Can you make up your mind, please? Because these have all been posted within like only a few months. Like, he hasn't gradually changed his mind. Like, these are all relatively recent videos. He just believes all of this at once, which by default means he believes none of it. He doesn't know what he means. He just kind of wants to get likes, and it doesn't work because he doesn't get very many likes at all. So it's not even working for him.
Listen, women don't want to talk to multiple guys at a time, but they are so scared of getting hurt that they will have backup options to soften the blow. And what I mean by that is girls will be texting, Snapchatting 8-10 guys at a time, you know, having guys in a rotation because they're so in love with one guy and they've been heartbroken in the past and they're so scared of going through that pain again that they're gonna find ways or outlets to soften the pain the next time it happens. And a lot of times a girl will be with a guy that she'd be good with, but she'll self-sabotage it by talking to other dudes because the more she falls in love, the more fearful she gets of him hurting her. This guy may not hurt her, this guy may love her, but she'll ruin it for herself because she can't handle love. Love is so underwhelming that it puts you into such an irrational place of mind that you can't think straight. Women are already led by emotion, but when they're in love, they go crazy.
This goes right back around to what he was talking about before about like women existing on social media and posting provocative photos and blah, blah, blah. Of like this whole thing that these dudes like to make up of all these girls having so many men in their rotation and their DMs and stuff. It's such bullshit, bro. It's like, it's not true. And like the girls who have a lot of dudes in rotation, all the dudes they're talking to have a lot of girls in rotation. Like they're non-exclusive relationships. They're all seeing multiple people at a time most of the time. Yeah, it's like that's the conversation that exists. And a lot of the time when that is the experience, there isn't any particular person they're like in love with. And if there is, it's not reciprocated, or it's not something they've talked about but will potentially talk about, or they're not in the mood or the space of mind to be in a serious relationship at the moment. And that is totally okay. But this isn't what a majority of women do. It's not like every single woman has 10 men that they're talking to all at once. That's such a ridiculous statement to make. Like, yes, it happens a fair amount, but it also happens coming from men. And I don't understand why that would not be a problem if it is a problem coming from women. You make it out to be way more commonplace than it actually is. If you aren't in a committed relationship, then you can do whatever the fuck you want and it doesn't matter. And if you're upset by that, then you need to have a conversation. If you don't want a girl you're seeing to be seeing a bunch of guys, you can have that conversation. But I hope that you know it's gonna go in the way where they're gonna say, well, then you can't see a bunch of girls, and you're not gonna like it. So you have to be prepared for that.
I don't believe depression for a man is real, because depression for a man only comes when deep down a man realizes that he is a waste of potential, that he knows he can be so much better, but he is living his life at such a low level of reality. And he's doing this because he's getting so much dopamine and pleasure from these little instant gratification knockoff ways of getting dopamine. You know, social media, porn, video games. It's giving him comfort, it's giving him stimulation, but deep down he knows there's a ceiling to it, and that type of stimulation is artificial compared to going out and gaining real power in your life. And what I mean by power is actually sleeping with beautiful girls, actually making money, actually driving the cars you want to drive. And yeah, all that can sound superficial, but to a man, life is a video game, and if he's playing a video game at the low levels, it becomes fucking boring to him. Men only become depressed when they are fucking bored. And if you're depressed right now, if you're not happy with life, it's because you're living life in such a mundane way of routine. It's the constant same shit every day. You know when you go to bed, it's gonna be the exact same shit that you did today, tomorrow, and the day after that. You need adrenaline in your life. You need a sense of fear that you are stepping into the unknown, that you're getting out of your comfort zone. That may not make you happy. You may suffer, you may struggle, but that's better than living a fucking boring life where you take no risks.
Depression isn't about being bored. Depression is a chemical imbalance in your brain that is very hard to control, and it makes you feel stuck, and it makes you unable to get out of bed and take care of yourself because you lose all desire to do that. Depression impacts every part of your life, and it's not as simple as just like, go for a walk, go sleep with the beautiful women, and then you'll be happy. That's not how it works. That's not even a little bit how it works. Everyone has different desires in life. Everyone experiences life differently. Everyone experiences depression differently and ways to cope with it differently. Things that bring you joy and make you feel fulfilled are not going to bring other people joy and make them feel fulfilled. Not every man desires to sleep with beautiful women and earn a ton of money. Some men desire contentment and happiness, and a lot of people are depressed now because it is impossible to reach happiness, and you are depressed because you just want to be happy, and you have to keep working and working and working to get to a place where you can't even be comfortable and content with life, and you can't take time for yourself, you can't do things that you enjoy, etc. Like, that is going to make you depressed, and a lot of people are in those situations, and a lot of people can't just get up and go out and like do something fun, go on a yacht, go hang out with beautiful women, etc. A lot of people don't have the freedom to be able to do that because they are stuck in this cycle of having to work themselves to death and still not even be able to be happy. We are forced to dedicate our entire life to just being a cog in the machine, and that is depressing. So obviously people are depressed and you can't just like get up and fix that. You're the one who's desiring superficial shit. You just want to be out here and earning money, and nothing is more superficial than money. Fulfillment looks differently on everyone. Desires look different on everyone, and your goals and wants are different to everyone else's. And you sitting here and saying all this stuff is so wild to me, being like, I don't think depression is real because if you do all this, you'll be happy, but also you're not allowed to be happy, and you should want a feminine wife, but also femininity is bad and you should want a masculine wife. Nothing you say makes sense. I don't think I can watch him speak anymore. He's given me a headache. I don't have any desire to continue watching his content, but I hope that you all got a kick out of this because losing my mind over how hypocritical and how much nonsense this man lets fall out of his mouth. Yeah, this was him. I hope that you had a good time. I'm sorry if I gave you all a headache as well. Don't forget to leave a like and comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And subscribe. I'm here twice a week and would love to see you here again. A massive thank you to my Sprout and Above patrons whose names are up on the screen right now. And a huge thank you to my Kiwi Cat patrons. Toulousk, Bobby, Josh, Mandy, Robbie, Ikazel, Jessica, Eldo, Ida, Quia Corey, Raven, Danielle, Elias, Evie, Rin, Jewel, Sparrow, Apollo, Taylor's Trying, Matto, and Chris. I love and appreciate you all so much. Thank you so much for joining. If you would like to become a patron, you can go to patreon.com/SavvyCat or click the top link in the description. For as little as £1 a month, you get my videos a day early, as well as podcasts a week early. And then for £3 and up, you get things such as bonus mini podcasts, outtakes, live streams, vlogs, and more. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, TheQueerKiwi, and Twitter, ThatQueerKiwi. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Keep fighting. I love you. Mwah.